Hey everybody, Billy Bob here. It's Tuesday, and as always during football season, this is Monday Morning Quarterback NFL edition, right? So we're going to go through some of this. Some I know, some I don't know, some I don't care. But before we get to that, the Cleveland Indians dropped game one of the wild card against the Detroit Tigers 2-1. Both runs that Detroit scored were unearned runs. Obviously, that meant there are errors involved. So, Tigers gave up one, as I said. Their starting pitcher, what's his name? Schnuber, something like that. 15 strikeouts, 13 strikeouts. The reliever came in, got 2. The Indians had 13 strikeouts, total of 28 strikeouts in the game. It was crazy. Indians had a chance. Jose Ramirez on third, nobody out in the bottom of the ninth. Poor base running by J-Ram, ran him out of the inning pretty much. There we go. We're on to game 2 tomorrow, 1 o'clock ESPN. And breaking news out of Browns camp, it would appear that Dillon Gabriel is going to replace Joe Flacco and make his first start for the Cleveland Browns, and he will become the first NFL quarterback to make his first start in Europe because the Cleveland Browns play the Minnesota Vikings in Hotspur Stadium in England on Sunday. I believe it starts at 9:15. So I guess if I would have put some lights on, I could have read some of the stuff. But before, typically, I think last week we went to scores first. This time we're going to go to key players injured over the weekend. Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, New York Giants. He suffered a season-ending ACL knee injury. Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins, last night suffered just a horrible-looking injury where he dislocated his kneecap and then tore the ligament. So basically his leg looked like it was, from the knee down, just kind of looked like it was hanging. But I got to give the dude credit, man. They put the air cast on him, and when he was going off the field, they can't really shoot you up with something until you get examined. So I don't know that they shot him with anything, but he seemed in good spirits and waving to the crowd as he's going off. I'd be crying and screaming probably. But as they say here, a gruesome knee injury. Defensive tackle for the Ravens. What the hell? What was his name? Stinking Ravens. He placed on season-ending reserve. Maybe that's why I didn't pay attention. Some other injuries, Lamar Jackson, quarterback for the stinking Ravens, hamstring, doesn't say how long he's going to be out. Joe Alt, offensive tackle, the Chargers, he suffered an ankle injury. He'll be out for a bit. Darnell Mooney, wide receiver for the Falcons, hamstring injury. Let's see, who else we got here? Didn't write his name down. Okay, we got Hanson Reddick, cornerback for the Buccaneers, ruled out with a left groin injury. Oh, that's the other dude that I can't remember his name. Hassan Reddick, linebacker for the Buccaneers, he left the game with a stinger. He should be okay. Defensive lineman for the Buccaneers, Greg Gaines, he had a pec injury. Defensive lineman Benjamin Morrison for the Buccaneers didn't return with a hamstring. Ale Cajo, his first name's Brandon, but he goes by Ale. I guess I would too. But linebacker for the Commanders, concussion protocol, didn't return. Javante Jean-Baptiste for the Washington Commanders, defensive end, pec injury. Cedric Tillman for the Browns sustained a hamstring injury. He'll be out. Ricky Pearsall for the Niners, knee injury. Ogbo, and I'm not even going to pronounce his last name, defensive end for the Eagles, tricep injury. And Lane Johnson, Eagles, shoulder injury. There's some of your injury updates. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go. All right. Ohio State wide receivers. Production over the weekend. Smith and Jigba, 4 catches, 79 yards, no touchdowns. Longest was 36. Harrison Jr. had a much better weekend. 6 catches for 66 yards, 1 touchdown. Longest was 18. Terry McLaurin for the Commanders didn't play. Chris Olave, 3 catches, 20 yards, 1 touchdown with a long of 10. Garrett Wilson, New York Jets, 6 catches, 82 yards, 1 touchdown, the long of 23. And Emeka Egbuka, 4 catches, 101 yards, 1 touchdown, and 77 yards was the longest. That was a touchdown catch and run for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Real quick, couple of OSU quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud had a much better week. I've been beating on C.J. here most of the year. 22 out of 28, 232 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they get their first win. Justin Fields didn't get his first win, but decent day, 20 out of 27, 1 touchdown. He also ran the ball 7 times, 81 yards, with a 43-yard touchdown run. Okay, let's get into some games. I don't have them all here picked out. You know, that's what ESPN's for. I'm for just filling in. I fill in. They give you the big stuff. You want more? Plus, you gotta spend more time with them. Steelers beat the Vikings over the weekend. Scored late. That game was over in Dublin. As I said, the Vikings are playing the Browns this week in England, so they stayed over there. I don't know if that's been done before, where a team spends a couple weeks in Europe and plays 2 games in a row over there. I haven't seen that. Falcons beat the Commanders. Bills beat the Saints. The Detroit Lions beat the Browns. They beat them up. Although stats don't really show it. Lions had 277 yards. Browns had 249. But the Browns on third down were 3 out of 14. That's kind of pitiful. Browns actually even had time of possession, 31-28. They still lose. As I mentioned, looks like Joe Flacco, who I believe he ranks last among NFL quarterbacks currently, will be out this week, and Dylan Gabriel will be in. Texans get their first win over the winless Titans. The Patriots come up with a big win. I told Steve at Pops, I said, Patriots going to do it today. He wasn't so sure, but I was right. Billy Bob was on the job. Patriots had an 87-yard punt return for a touchdown. They kind of outdid the Panthers, actually out time of possession, outgained the Patriots. In fact, they were over 10 minutes more time of possession, and they didn't commit a turnover. In fact, I don't think there are any turnovers in the game, and yet the Patriots blow them out 42-13. The Giants with Jackson Dart get their first win. It's like a shot of adrenaline right up the rear end. Jackson Dart, new enthusiasm, and they pull out a win. Now, let's see. The Giants beat the Chargers with hairball. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy to get a loss. His first loss of the season, by the way. Eagles beat the Bucks, battle of the undefeateds. Eagles prevail. I told you, Bucks, a lot of injuries, although they did get Chris Godwin back, but Michael Evans is out with a hamstring. Rams beat the Colts, hand the Colts their first loss. Jacksonville, surprise win here over the Niners. Again, Niners were undefeated. Kansas City. Now, who would have thunk Kansas City and the Ravens, that when they come into the game, it was 2 1-2 teams? What does that mean? That means one of the teams has to leave the game 1-3 unless they go into a tie, which they didn't. So Ravens are 1-3, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, Lamar Jackson out with a hamstring injury. Not good for a running quarterback. The Bears, they beat the Raiders. Ended a game there. Scored. I forgot. They scored. Packers, Cowboys went to a draw. Right? What was a draw? 40-40. So much for Micah Parsons' influence. The New York Jets remained winless, losing to the Dolphins. And the Cincinnati Bengals got demolished by the Denver Broncos. Cincinnati, just a couple stats here. I mean, and I went through some Browns too, so I'm not picking on the Bengals anymore than the Browns. Bengals out first down, 29 for the Broncos, 9 for the Bengals. Total plays, 80 by the Broncos, 43 by the Bengals. Total yards, 159 for the Bengals, 512 for the Broncos. And time of possession, 15 minutes longer by the Broncos. 58 minutes by the Broncos, 22 minutes and 2 seconds by the Bengals. Any wonder why our one son-in-law Bobby G is selling his tickets? By the way, anybody wants some Bengals tickets for the home game this weekend against the Detroit Lions, send me a note and I'll get it to Bobby G and get you to skip all the fees. All right. All right, so here we go. Unbeaten's left. The Bills, the Buffalo Bills, and the Philadelphia Eagles. That means 4 teams. Last week we had 6 unbeaten teams. 4 of them lost. The Chargers, the Niners, the Bucks, Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Indianapolis Colts. Winless, we still got 3. We had 6 going into the week. The Giants, Dolphins, and Texans won. That leaves the Jets, the Saints, and the Tennessee Titans all as winless after week 4 in the NFL. Week 4, week 5. I don't know. Who knows what is this? What is the week? Let's see. Week 4. That's what I thought. Where are we here? I guess we're at the end. I don't have much else to tell you. We'll talk more later in the week. Although for college football preview, we won't be doing a Saturday morning show because I got the JOB Saturday morning. But we'll figure it out. Until then, America, land of the free because of the brave. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace.